What is officially that portion of the show where we like to turn our attention over to the markets. And this week, we were fortunate enough to be joined in person by our friend Kyle Bumsted. Here's our conversation breaking down the grain and livestock markets from Wednesday morning. Start on the grain side of things. Not a lot of things to talk about that are positive for corn and soybeans in particular.
Not right now, but as we're here in the middle of the week, December corn is sitting at a precipice here. 399 3/4 is a big number here for us to try to get through and close above on a monthly chart here at the end of the month. We got the end of the month. It's the end of the quarter coming up here. It's also the end of the marketing year for grains as well too. So a lot of things are coming together here at one time. But 399 3/4. I'd ideally like to see us close above $4.25 here on Friday. That would give us the known reversal here as far as the technical standpoint. And we've thrown a lot of bearishness at this market here. The spreads are very neutral, which tells me that there's still some concern out there in some areas, but the commercials are pretty comfortable with the size of the crop that we have coming on here. But we've known that for a long time. The non-commercials are short, so it wouldn't surprise me if we could get that bullish reversal here on a monthly chart if we could come in here and see some non-commercial short covering.
One of our recent conversations took place kind of at the start of the growing season back in May. We're along the banks of the North Loop River, having our conversation as we were broadcasting kind of remote as you and I are now. I was thinking back to that conversation. We're talking about putting a high in the market at the end of May, and perhaps there were people disputing whether that was going to happen. You look at what's happened since then, though. It's been a one-way street here, downside for both corn and soybeans. You predicted that accurately then. What's your crystal ball tell you about the next few months of where we're heading?
That's a very good question. Now, we're up against our synthetic puts here, basically in corn and soybeans with crop insurance. So I could see us potentially grinding higher, but I do want folks to take note of the basis moves. If there's any basis moves here, that's going to be a key, as well as our future spreads. If our future spreads start to narrow up a little bit, that's going to be some friendliness coming to the market. So we've also got a big move here coming with the election coming on here. What side gets in there? Who knows what's going to happen with foreign policy? But there's some things that we're not hearing this election that we heard last election, like buying bigger tractors and things like that. We're not hearing those kinds of things. So it's got some of the trade kind of cautious, and they're really watching this election moving forward, as well as the interest rates.
Let's switch from grains over to livestock, spend some time over there. Live cattle and feeder cattle both kind of had a tough month here as you and I visiting in August. Why is that?
Well, I think you had the funds that were long on the live cattle side of things here. They just pulled the plug and said, we want to take our money out. And we saw some pretty vicious moves. We were down in feeder cattle some days almost $9, not quite $9 there, a couple sessions there. And it looked to me like when we saw that selling, we did see both commercial and non-commercial selling. So the non-commercial, the funds, they added to their shorts here. Now, recently, mid of the week, we did see some short covering there in the feeder cattle. We did see that on Tuesday, and a little bit of light short covering here on Wednesday, but then we switched back to kind of a negative vibe here as we got into the middle of the session here, middle of the week. We did see more non-commercial or some commercial bear spreading out there, commercials taking some coverage. Now on the live cattle side of things here, it was profit taking. It felt to me when we started out early this month, the way things were trading out in those deferred contracts, how they were falling off, and they just couldn't catch a bid out there. It felt to me like there's something bigger. Someone was seeing something out there after the first of the year, like maybe a plant closure coming or something like that, or worried about the economic situation we're sitting in now. Some folks are comparing this to 2008. While the headlines are about the same, the action in the macro markets is different. We did see the meltdown in 08. We're not seeing the meltdown here in 2024. What we are seeing, though, is something similar is 2014. We are seeing where this time of year we did put in some sort of a low here on this October and December live cattle. Then we ground higher and made new highs eventually towards the end of the year, first part of the next year. So it wouldn't surprise me if we're going to follow that kind of pattern here as we move forward into the end of the year. We are seeing some positive things here as far as the placement numbers and things like that moving forward. Our spreads are looking decent here. We are seeing a lot of bull spreading going on here. But the question is what happens with this economy moving forward, and can the consumer still afford to buy beef?
That's your biggest question mark, is what happens with the economy at this point. What sort of opportunities do you see for cattle producers right now?
I think there's opportunity in the basis. The cash market here. I do look for the Nebraska trade to kind of keep softening up here, and the southern trade to kind of keep steady to maybe grind higher a little bit. I do look for Texas and Nebraska to trade par at some point in time. So the hedgers out there, if there's an opportunity to capture some basis, I look for them to do that.
All right, both could be livestock or could be on the grain side of things. What else is catching your attention right now?
Catching my attention moving forward is going to be how interest rates affect things moving forward here. If we do get these cuts, which they say there's a 100% chance of a rate cut, looking at CME's Fed Watch, they say there's a 100% chance of a rate cut. How that's going to affect spending in agriculture moving through the next 5-6 months.
I've seen 100% chances of rain before, Kyle. Sometimes it doesn't always materialize.
That's right. That's right. The longer they predict it, the less it materializes.
Well, thanks very much for your insights and for joining us out here at the State Fair. Good to see you, Kyle.
Thank you.